Welcome to In the Moment with Quartier Kuzan. So happy to have you here this morning, folks. We're here to inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. To each and every one of you on the sound of my voice throughout Central Louisiana, good morning. Good morning on this terrific Tuesday. For my family that's in Natchitoches, Gina and Alexandra, 88.1 FM. Monroe, West Monroe on 98.9 FM. Shreveport, Greenwood on 92.5 AM, St. Joseph, Natchitoches, Mississippi on 99.3 AM, and of course Lake Charles on 100.1 FM. Amen, amen. And as always, for each and every one of you that would like to call into the radio show to actually put in your comments or have any kind of questions, local number 318-484-2500. and toll free at 877-464-2500. Family, don't also remember to reach out to us across social media at In the Moment with Quartier Kuzan, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Hey, we got it all out there. And then, of course, go to InTheMomentWithQuartierKuzan.com to connect with us. Connect and put your comments about what you'd like to hear about on the show. And also, like I've said previously, we have a free gift item for each and every one of the faithful listeners out there. All right, so let's get right into it on this terrific Tuesday. You know, I was thinking about a lot of times that we have different of the reasons that we make decisions. Why? What are the reasons that we make certain decisions in our lives? And, you know, kind of came up with this. You know, it kind of falls into one or two categories, to where it's either going to be the avoidance of pain or to actually, you know, the pleasure to gain. And you might say, well, what does that actually mean? Well, each and every one of us, we have a desire to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. And so many things in our lives are pretty much grouped into those particular categories. I mean, think about, you know, why do you actually do what you do in life? Okay, why do you do what you do in life? I mean, do you do something because you want to gain pleasure? Or do you do something because you actually want to avoid pain? I mean, that might be an oversimplification, but think about the different choices that you make, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a new job, whether it's, you know, getting physically fit. I mean, what is your motivating factor behind the choices that you make? I mean, think about it right now. I mean, why are you actually listening right now? I mean, maybe you are listening to actually avoid probably a painful situation or maybe a feeling that you have while you are considering when you're going to work or something that transpired from the day before, or maybe you just feel like, hey, I'm tuning in, you know, because I'm bored, I want to pass the time. Or, you know, what is the particular reason why you're actually listening to me right now? There's always a reason why we do what we do. We may not actually voice it out of our mouths, but there's always either a conscious to subconscious reason why we do what we do. I mean, or, you know, it may be that you feel, you know, pleasure to actually listening to this radio broadcast, or each and every day something's getting sparked on the inside of you. Something's actually being moved around, something that's actually being ignited on the inside of you that's just saying, hey, you know something, it just seems like, you know, since listening to In the Moment that things have just started to give me a little bit more clarity about the things that I am actually capable of, and I'm able to identify things that have actually been holding me back. You know, maybe you're feeling pleasure to be motivated. You're, like I said, listening to these broadcasts. And, you know, that's the entire point of listening to the broadcast, to where, as I always said, to where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to what? Be a positive agent of change. Family, it's all about bringing out the best in each and every one of us. And, you know, it's also when I'm in the studio, okay, and when I'm on the other end of this mic, you know, and me actually sharing with you, it's actually allowing me to be better. It's actually allowing me to even grow even more. So, you know, don't think that this is a one-way streak of you out there just listening to, you know, what I'm saying. It's also something that's beneficial to me. It's helping to sharpen my skills. And like I said, in my being obedient to God, it's just continually opening up new doors, not only for me and my family, but it's opening up doorways where we can help others to go into their purpose that He has set before them. So, everything, okay, listen to this, everything that we do, okay, we do because of, you know, those two forces that I told you about, pain and pleasure. Now, fellas, listen to this. And ladies, you can like just roll reverse on this. Now, fellas, just listen. When you actually see a beautiful lady and definitely you like to make friends with her, what do? What do you actually do? Now, you get into this predicament or you get into this situation where you start going on in your mind, hey, should I actually dare to approach her or you just don't do anything? Now, it's going to sound funny, but how many of us guys can remember when we were back in possibly, elementary school or in junior high and you'd actually write this little note and you'd get one of your friends to try to pass it to a girl or, some of you ladies actually did this before and, you'd say, hey, I like you. Do you like me? That first time of actually getting up your nerve to actually approach a person. Just what would you do? Well, sometimes some of us would just be like, wow, that's a really handsome guy or that's a really pretty girl. And we just pretty much talk ourselves out of actually approaching, said individuals. But when the pleasure of getting to know someone is greater than the pain of the rejection, you'll actually go ahead and, approach the lady or you'll approach the man. It's basically this, okay? What is the thing that's actually going to spark you to get over the hump? What's the thing that's actually going to get you to see that, hey, it may be a moment of temporary discomfort, but the end result is reaping a whole plethora, a whole entire cornucopia. Just having a very pleasurable outcome from it. I'm not talking about things as far as like, a person hooking up with someone. I'm not talking about something as far as like sexual. So I'm just going to put the devil on notice with that, okay? I'm talking about attaining something that makes it all worthwhile on the inside of you. I'm talking about actually you getting over what really is a self-imposed fear of actually doing something that's out of the norm of what you normally do. And that relates to every single area of our lives. I've told you before, and we keep talking about it, we've talked about success, and you're going to hear me talk about success a lot on this radio broadcast. And what that is that when you actually take strides to move forward, okay, when you take, it doesn't have to be a great step, okay? It's like I tell, people that are connected with me, that are socialized with me, my family, I say all the time, when God opens a door and does the little bitty things for you, or should I say in my life when he does what people would actually equate to being a small blessing, okay? And then it would be something that I guess you could say that would equal like the parting of the Red Sea, all right? In God's eyes, it's the same thing. He blesses because he blesses. Well, something, I actually got into that mindset myself that, with God, if it's the same thing, then why should I actually try to give a certain level of importance to if something is small, in my own mental state, or if something is great. And that's what I take, and that's the way I approach different opportunities. I don't see them just, okay, this is a little opportunity and this is a very big opportunity. I see how each and every opportunity, or each and every time I take that step towards going to, either am I going to stay as far as like trying to avoid the pain or gain the pleasure, I see it as a way to actually grow. I see it as a way to actually go to a door that's like opened up before me. I see it as a way to actually being able to enrich someone's life. I see it as a way of being able to point out something in an individual that actually gets that spark that helps them go to a new level. That's the greatest pleasure, one of the greatest pleasures that I actually have in my life, of being able to sow into someone and actually being able to help them to tap into that latent potential that, God's actually placed in them so that they can go and be the best individual person that they can possibly be. And that's what it's all about. And that takes away the pain that I may have had in seeing them not live up to the true expectation of what I see in them, but it brings me pleasure. And when they start walking into the fulfillment of who God has actually called them to be. So it's awesome. It's exciting. But like I said, we're talking about to the desire to avoid pain and gain on this terrific Tuesday. And guess what? When we come back from the break, we're definitely going to be right back in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Quartia Kuzan. So happy that each and every one of you under the sound of my voice have tuned into the broadcast. And family, we're talking about the desire to avoid pain and gain pleasure. And look, with your questions or comments, why don't you call in to our local number at 318-484-2500 or toll free at 877-464-2787. 2500. And also continue to reach out to us on our website at inthemomentwithCourtier.com. All right. So before we went into break, we were actually giving a scenario as far as like, using an example of, what actually causes someone to go from that area of pain to that area of pleasure. And I know it's a very interesting title that we are using today on this terrific Tuesday, but just think about that. What is it as if when you first start to approach someone that you may be interested in, that you may want to have a relationship in, before we went into the break? You're either going to have, enough motivation to make you actually approach the man or to make you approach the woman to where, you're going to go ahead and possibly talk to them and possibly ask them out on a date, and it's going to bring you a certain amount of pleasure. But then, on the other side of that, to where you could actually stand there and see that, and the person may actually be giving you all of the right signs to to come and speak to them, but you actually talk yourself out of approaching this particular individual for, whatever reason it may be. And it causes you a certain amount of pain of, later on, and I know how us guys do it, like, oh, I should have went over there and talked to that girl, At least that's how it used to be when we were in high school and so on. But, what is it that will propel you to go forward to receive, that pleasure or that goal, that blessing? What is it that's holding you back in that area of pain? Now, think about this. If you're not working, okay, listen to me really closely. If you're not actually working on your dreams or, taking action on your goals, it's simply because working on what you want is actually painful to you. And you might say, well, what does that mean? I mean, if it's pleasurable, think about this. If it's something that's actually should have been pleasurable to you, you more than likely would have already done it. Now, a lot of people I've spoken to, they say, wow, I've got dreams to do this. Wow, I've got dreams to do that. Hey, I want to be a business owner this way. I want to go ahead and pursue, my college education. I mean, whatever you want to put in the blank right there. And then, the very next question I tend to ask, okay, what have you already done to take steps towards this? And then usually it comes, well, the timing's not right. Well, the finances aren't there. Well, when the kids get a little bit older, well, it's always well and then something else. Well, and then something else. Or you get the big but. Okay, the big but. But. It's always, it seems like you've got this list of every single reason, or a lot of people have a list of every single reason why they don't do something. But it's amazing that when you really ask them, why it is that they really aren't doing something, they just have to say, well, I don't know. I mean, it astounds me. I just don't know. And I remember, I cannot remember the particular preacher, but he was actually, at one point in time, he would be in services, and he was known for this, and people would be on the altar, okay, and they would actually be praying. And then all of a sudden, he would just get by some people, and he would just ask them, hey, what do you believe in God for? And then all of a sudden, well, I'm just praying to God, just let God, your will be done, just praying to God. He said, so what are you specifically praying for? And he's just like, they were like, well, not anything really. And then while they were in the midst of prayer, he leaned down and told them, and guess what? You're going to get what you're asking for. And it's the one thing that we don't want to happen. How I was saying in this season, in this 2019 season, how it's an escalation for people to actually have things that just start popping out, just start opening, have that popcorn just going out to where opportunities are all around you. If we don't expect anything, then guess what? When we don't get anything, we don't have a reason to actually complain. But what is it actually going to do to actually get us from that level of pain to get us to that level of pleasure to actually receive? And then a lot of people nowadays, okay, they love to watch movies and definitely surf Facebook. Oh, my Lord, do they like to surf Facebook. But they get us, they actually have pleasure doing it. And that's why, they do it like all the time. I mean, it really, a lot of those things that you may do right now are what you would say are addictive to you. A lot of people, I would definitely say, are addicted to social media. I mean, the so-called friends that I have on Facebook, I mean, a lot of times I actually have to be told by, my kids or even my wife to get back and connected with individuals that send me messages just because of outside of, ministry things or things concerning business. I pretty much don't even connect as far as like with social media. But the thing that's really evident is that why are you just using social media in such a realm to where it just brings you so much pleasure. It's like it's taking all of your focus. It's like you know, how we were talking about on yesterday, you do certain things to actually, when you have that self-deception, like we talked about yesterday, you do certain things, I guess, not to face reality or to stop seeing what's going on. You go through different things in social media to see what's going on with other people's lives, and it's like almost in a digital sense, you're actually trying to live through them instead of living, you know, your own life, okay? But think about it. When you're not acting on your goals, okay, and you procrastinate on your dreams, and hey, first partaker used to be me all the time, and sometimes I still struggle with it. I mean, is it either, you know, the pain, you know, of taking action is actually greater than the pleasure of, you know, achieving your dreams, or the pain of not achieving your goals is just as strong in that regard? Now, a lot of us, we would probably want to actually put it in this way, all right. Is it going to take too much for me, or we think, is it going to take too much for me to actually go forth to actually achieving the dreams that I have for my life? Or do we actually verbalize it in a different sense? Is it going to be painful if I don't achieve my dreams? And which one are we going to grab hold to? Which one are we going to gravitate towards? And I've said all the time, when you are striving to be better, when you are striving to be more, when you are striving to go forth and do what God has called you to do. And like I said, I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not saying you have to be Christian or non-Christian, whatever. I'm talking to everyone, okay? I'm talking to each and every individual like that. There is a certain quality in each and every one of us that is calling us to be better. There is something that's on the inside that says, you know something, look at where you are right now. There is more for you out there than where you are right now. And like I've said before, there are some individuals that are really saying, look, I've got my life all together. I've got it all together. But then I said, then turn around and teach one and then reach one. Reach one, teach one. Turn around. Do what's necessary to bring someone else up. But don't allow yourself to be stuck into a mode of where you think that, you know, you've just made it. And, you know, as you know, scripture just lets us know that we're supposed to run our race, okay? We're supposed to run our race. And then what a lot of people don't realize is that your race isn't over with until you actually decide that it's over with. And believe me, that's a whole nother message in itself. But why is it that we tend to be not fearful of actually not making it, in a sense, to, you know, when it comes to our dreams? A lot of times we are fearful as opposed to actually achieving that level of success, achieving our dreams, to getting that pleasurable gain, okay? Now, a lot of people actually put off working on their goals, which is evident, okay? They actually feel pain when it comes to taking action, and they feel pleasurable doing something like watching television. And you might say, well, okay, well, we all watch television. No, we don't all watch television. We really don't. A lot of people will use this. You come home from work. I know you have a rough day. And believe me, my family and I, we're here. We're like up at 3 o'clock every morning. And as I've said before, by the time, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning gets here, pretty much you could say we've probably had a full day as opposed to a lot of people that are out there. But, you know, we don't stop there. We keep doing what's necessary to keep going forward, keep pushing forth, to keep bringing our dreams and bringing the vision to pass that God has placed upon our hearts. But then I know there's a time to where you need rest, but your rest can also be productive in itself. If your day consists of actually, you know, working for someone, you know, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, okay? And you've got this big dream on the inside of you, and then when you get home, you sit on the sofa for about 3 hours, or you do surf social media for about 3 hours. And then, of course, you sit there and like, well, I really didn't have time to work on my dream today. You know, maybe I'll do it on tomorrow, okay? Well, what you're really saying is that, you know, the dreams that you have are not as important as you try to make them seem to other people. I would actually put it in the regard of your dream is a hobby, okay? When it becomes a lifestyle to you, it's like you're thinking about it, you're dreaming about it, you're doing steps to go forward. It can be as far as like you get and you just write out one sheet of paper or of things you want to accomplish. Do something Do something each and every day. And I told you, it doesn't have to be something that's like the parting of the Red Sea, okay? It can be a simple step as far as like that can equate to you possibly putting on a shoe in the morning. But do something that drives you towards that pleasurable gain of being the best person that you can possibly be. There is no excuse. There really is no excuse. Even if you haven't read a book since being out of school, pick up that first book and read that first page and then close the book. Guess what? You just accomplished a great goal. You've been successful in doing just that. Because really, so many of us right now, we're in a painful situation because we keep measuring what it is to go forth and accomplish our dreams and the visions that God has given us based upon what other people are doing. They're walking their path. You need to walk your own path. So continue to walk into what God has in store for you. Keep desiring to avoid the pain, but to gain the pleasure. And when we come back from break, hey, we're going to make sure that you're still in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Quartier Kuzan. Definitely we have some good subject matter that's going on today, the desire to avoid pain and gain pleasure on this terrific Tuesday. Family, why don't you connect with me at the local number, 318-484-2500, and toll free at 877-464-2500. I tell you, it's amazing how when we actually look around at the things that can actually hold us back or motivate us, but those things are not because of exterior influences most of the times. A lot of times the things that actually hold us back or propel us come from the internal. And you know, we get to a certain point, as I said, to where even after we come from our places of employment or whatever we do, you know, some of us we're just sitting on the sofa, and I was astounded by actually a report to where there are a lot of people that are in their 30s to 40s, and they're still living at home with mom and dad just sitting on the sofa actually playing video games. And I mean, that just kind of blew my mind away when I found that out. And, you know, I kind of related back, when my wife and I were dating, and you know, she actually knew that I was actually 17, I can remember, of, my big motivation, because I actually lived in a house, grew up in a home with 10 other people, 3-bedroom home with 10 other people. So obviously, I wanted my own space, finally to have my own space, right? So imagine a 17-year-old kid, right? I had my own car, all right? Had my own money because I was working. I was 17 years old, about to make my 18th birthday, about 4 months away from graduating high school, and then all of a sudden my mom walks into the living room and I have a newspaper on the floor, and she's like, "Well, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, you know something? I'm looking for an apartment because it is time for me to get out of here. I'm about to turn 18. I'm making my own money. I have my own transportation. It's time for me to spread my wings." But what ended up happening? It was situations that actually, it was a season of pain. A season of pain that I actually went through that motivated me, or what was motivating me to actually go into my next season of which would be pleasure, for me to actually come into my own, to actually spread my own wings, okay? And then, of course, after some time, some of us, the pain of not actually accomplishing, our goals actually becomes great. And then that great pain that we feel is actually the thing that forces some of us to actually take action. Now, I'm just going to be real about it. There are many of us out there, many of you under the sound of my voice, you're in a situation right now, and I've seen this with people, and I'm just totally blown away by it, to where they can go through certain levels of difficulty, certain levels of pain in their lives, and it's always, there's an excuse, okay? Reason points out what there is as far as like fact, but excuse makes something up, okay? So it's always an excuse of why they're going through this certain pain, or why they haven't gotten ahead, or, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. But what is it that's actually going to get you to take note to actually, okay, it's time to make that change? Now, look, you know how I love using examples. Think about this, all right? Say like if you're hungry. You're really hungry. You haven't eaten anything all day, and you're inside. Maybe the television is on, or you're listening to the radio. Have you just happened to notice that when you're hungry, everything on television just happens to be some type of food commercial that you just start to take note of, or you're listening to the radio and then all of a sudden you start to hear all of these little jingles about something that's dealing with food. Well, what ends up happening when you're in that funk, okay, when you just seem like you just cannot get it together? Is it that, oh, well, look, it's some motivational movie that comes on of, someone that started from, an impossible situation and they got propelled later at the end of the movie. They were gone into, the dreams that, they wanted to succeed. Or you see someone going through an impossible situation as far as like in a war movie, as a documentary, whatever it may be. But it seems to always be something that just jumps right out at you to identify or to address where you are in your particular situation. I'm going to just bring it a little bit closer to home. It may be individuals that are around you that may have started out where you started from, in life, but then because of them actually saying, something, I'm not going to stay in this particular situation to where I am right now, and they all of a sudden started taking little steps to do certain things. And, they may not be as what the world would say on par, a great success right now. But, when they could actually leave, say, like I think minimum wage is like, $7.25 or something right now, to where they can actually leave minimum wage and then, they may have progressed to earning like $10 an hour on their places of employment or whatever that they may be doing. A lot of us would actually explain that away and say, well, I'm not actually going to $3 more or almost $3 more. That's not much. Well, look, I'm not going to go ahead and put in all those extra hours like they're doing, and you will actually justify why you want pretty much pay the price as they did to get to where they are. But, as I say all the time, everything is a progression. Even coming out of our self-imposed areas of pain, even that's a progression. But like I said before the break, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? And I use the example of taking, just a book. Because a lot of us, for whatever reason, like I said, I was one of these particular individuals. I was like, once I get out of school, I am not reading anything else. I mean, put it like all these term papers I had to write, these projects that I had to do, I'm just done with that. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to relax. Well, guess what? When you actually do that, when you stop allowing knowledge to increase on the inside of you, your brain becomes kind of muddled, cloudy, okay, to where you start to become stagnant in your thought processes. And what I found out is that when you actually start to become stagnant in your thought processes, then guess what? It starts to go into like your attitude, your emotional level, how you approach people, how you talk to people. It's almost, if you were anything like me, you almost got offended when people started talking to you about their dreams and visions and that they're doing different things. And I mean, like I said, I'm just going to be real with you. When people started sharing things from me, I was like, well, who do you think you are? Why do you think you're going to go ahead and make it? Why do you feel that you're going to be successful? We came from the same place. And so I had to try to transfer my pain onto them just so it wouldn't be a reflection of where my shortcomings were. I'm talking to somebody right now. And like I said, this isn't about not putting anybody down, but this is about clicking the light switch of the greatness that you don't actually realize that's on the inside of you, okay? And look, this is a quote from Napoleon Hill. Desire is the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything. That desire, or should I say it, that drive that's on the inside of you has got to be enough. It's got to burn. It's got to be ignited. It's got to be something that no matter what happens, it's going to cause you to just plow through. And look, there are going to be people, I'm not going to say that this isn't going to happen, but the first thing that you're going to have to overcome when you're going towards what God has for you is going to be your own mental thought processes, okay? You have got to get past you. That's the biggest obstacle that you're going to have. Once you finally get past you, you may not believe this, but you're going to be about 80% there already. Once you get you out the way, then you're going to be 80% there in your journey. Then after that, yes, you're going to have people that are going to try to come and try to hold you back in some kind of way out of jealousy, okay? Yes, situations may not work out for your benefit. There are going to be people that are probably going to look at you based upon either your gender, going to look at you upon your race. There are going to be so many different things. Like I said, you may not dress like they do. You may not speak the way they do. There's always going to be something. But what are you going to do? Is that thing, that seed of greatness that's on the inside of you, is it going to be enough? Are you going to tap into it? Or as we call it, are you going to tap into that blessing, the blessing that's on the inside of you, and you're going to push forward no matter what it looks like on the outside? Are you actually going to push forward and achieve the greatness that's on the inside of you? And, I love it how Jesus actually says that, when the apostles tried to stop the children from coming to him, and he says, suffer the little children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. A lot of people just thought about that showing God's love to even the least ones. But that's not what that was about. That was about coming with a childlike type faith to actually believe that anything is possible. To actually come to him with an openness, okay? Just as we should go into the things that are set before us with an openness to already believe that we have already achieved those things, okay? I'm not saying that we hope that we achieve those things. We go with the mental aspect, we go in our spirits, we go in every area that we've already achieved these things. And you say, well, you're being fanciful. No, I'm being real, okay? I'm not just basing things on the facts of the matter. I'm basing things on the truth, which is definitely in God's word. And the thing is that let me help you with this. Look at yourself on a level of being at a higher standard than what you've set for yourself, okay? Meaning this, just like I tell people all the time, if God said that you are more than a conqueror, okay, and you see yourself just as an entry man or entry woman as far as like in the army, okay, still, no matter where you see yourself, you are still more of a conqueror in his eyesight. So what do? Don't look at the bar that you set for yourself. Aim for the bar that he's already established for you. And like I said, this isn't about trying to be preachy, but this is about trying to let you know that a lot of times, as far as like when we get out of ourselves, sometimes we've got to reevaluate the goals and the steps that we've actually set for ourselves. Because why? Let's just be real. Some of us, we just play it safe. We just play it safe so that we don't actually fall into the realm of heartache or disappointment. But there's going to come a time to where you're going to have to take that leap of faith. There's going to come a time to where you go to the edge of that cliff and you can't see the bottom and you're just going to have to jump. There's going to come a time to where you're on the edge of those waters and it looks crystal clear and the bottom's right there before you. But when you fall in, you're probably going to sink. But you need to be just like Peter. Even when he started sinking, when he got his eyesight back on the Lord, then guess what? God was able to actually lift him up. And you know something? When you keep your eyesight as far as like on what really is important, then you are going to be lifted up. You're going to be carried up, and you're going to be continually kept in your moment. In the moment with Quartier Kuzan. Awesome time in the house today in the radio station. Oh, wow. We're talking about the desire to avoid pain and gain pleasure. Wow. A lot of things that have been brought to light and many things that, we tend to, really not address when it comes to that area of pain and pleasure. And family, it's really evident, okay? It's really evident. And I know I've said this, but when we actually get to that stage to where we stop looking at external situations or, people on the outside and start to really just take responsibility, for who we are. And I know a lot of us, we can actually say that there are a lot of things that we've gone through in life. And believe me, I can roll call some things right now that would probably make a lot of your jaws just drop, okay? But the thing is that are you using those moments of pain that have happened in your life? Okay, listen to me. Are you using those moments of pain that have actually happened in your life to actually be those things that really stop you from moving forward, okay? Are you allowing that to be, not the clothes, but if you know anything, if you know what a shroud is, okay, that's a time, there's something that prepared different individuals for when they were about to be buried. But are you allowing those things to be a shroud in your life, to diminish the light, to diminish the greatness, to basically try to stop the growth of what God wants to just flourish on the inside of you? Are you using that pain to just use it as an excuse not to go forward? Or are you using it Okay, did you just take it? Think about this. Visualize this. Are you taking it and you got like this mulch or this mulch that's in your life, this thing that's actually just said, you know something? I'm going to chop up all of this hurt. I'm going to chop up all of this adversity. I'm going to just totally just throw it away, just fling it to the wind. But then when you fling it to the wind, everything that tried to come against you, everything that tried to hurt you, it actually falls down as the right type of fertilizer that actually starts to enrich that seed of greatness, that latent potential that's on the inside of that seed, that blessing that's on the inside of you. And it starts to enrich it, and it starts to grow. You know, then you first have that little blade that just comes up. You know, there's new life that's springing forward on the inside of you. And then all of a sudden, you know, you get a little extra pep in your step. And then, you know, you start saying, hey, you know something? I actually had a great interest in this like years ago. And it just seemed like I was a natural at it. And then all of a sudden you start to walk towards that way, and God starts to open up different things in your life to actually, you know, connect with that. And you might say that, wow, maybe this is what I needed to do. And then, you know, once you start walking into the fullness of something, then you'll find out that all these other doors and people will start coming into your life that actually start to bring about what you're already walking into. But it still goes back to what I continually say. Are you going to make the choice as an individual to walk into the fullness of the greatness, or should I say to accept and cultivate the greatness that's on the inside of you? And, you know, I think about this one thing. I had a lot of different things that actually transpired with me in my life when I was younger. And I've shared, you know, a couple things, you know, being talked about, you know, a lot of us listening right now, getting talked about, never going to amount to anything. You know, like I said, I'm a Creole brother, went even among sometimes with black folks, white, whoever. You're either too bright to be here, you're too dark to be here, whatever it is, okay? Went through all of these different things in my life. But the one thing that actually stuck out that, you know, God allowed me to know that he was always talking to me. And, you know, God actually can speak through people. And a lot of times we're not really receptive of it because, well, we spiritually or mentally or what have you aren't there just because of the clutter or the junk that's on the inside of us. But I remember all my life as a young child, I had one relative. No matter what was going on, I had one. And that's something, I can just grab onto this one relative, even to this day, that always told me, you can do anything. You'll be able to do this and you'll be able to do that. And I mean, it was just this one relative. No matter what anyone else said, this relative would always tell me this. And unlike any other child to where, you know, they're deciding, you know, hey, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a football player, I want to be this, I want to be that, you know, whatever it is. I can literally remember sitting in my grandparents' backyard under these massive oak trees that we had in the back, sitting on this old style chair that, you know, you probably can't see it unless it's a 1950s type movie now, those chairs that they had out there. But I remember sitting there, and I remember looking up in the sky. And then all of a sudden I started doing like so many others. Hey, you know, I just would like it if I'm like a football player. No, I want to be a lawyer. No, I want to be a doctor. And then all of a sudden I was just like, well, that's not what I really want to do. And I remember it coming out of my mouth, and I was 11 years of age. I want to be a businessman. I want to be in business for myself. Now, at that point in time, I wasn't able to say like entrepreneur, you know, where I could actually understand what entrepreneur really was. But, you know, that's what I was talking about. And today, isn't it amazing that what I verbalize with a childlike type faith, talking to somebody right now, what I verbalize with a childlike type faith, everything that's happening in my life, whether good or whether bad, however you want to see it, okay, whether pain, whether pleasure, has led up to this moment right now from what I've actually said when I was 11 years old is being made manifest. That's powerful. That's powerful. And when you can actually just think back on things that happen in your life like that, you can actually see that's how God's been with you through every single thing. There's so many different times to where, you know, I've shared with a lot of people, wow, when I told you, when I made it to 18, I was just like, wow, I made it. I lived. I made it. And then when I made it to 21, I was just, oh, my Lord, I think I'm actually going to make it. I really think I'm going to make it. But like I said, because of past situations that I was in and things that happened in my past, and because how I see through all of that, And like I said, I'm talking to anyone that's like saved and unsaved, but I'm talking to everyone that's under the sound of my voice, okay? Each and every one of us, if we really are truthful, if we really look at the things that have actually happened in our lives, we actually were never really alone. We never really were alone. There was always, the guiding force. And you can say exactly what you want, but I'm just going to say the Holy Spirit, okay? But there was always this guiding force that was right there with you, trying to make sure that you didn't, fall off that proverbial cliff into like a pit of despair. Or, if you were stuck in the muck, stuck in the mire, to where, there was this one person that was sent your way to actually help you get out, all right? And, I really found that it was, amazing at how different doors continue to open, in your lives. And I was just sharing with a brother on yesterday as far as like the progression as it goes with God. Now, in our human minds, your progression, we think of steps. Like you go step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going across the page, okay? Going steps. Or we're checking like up and down. It's just like a sequence. But, with God, when it comes to God taking you to where he wants you to be, God's steps aren't just sequential as far as like going across the page or up and down as far as like a list. God's steps are, like stair steps. I'm going to take you through step 1. You get through step 1. Guess what? We're going to take a stair step and go to step 2. You go through that, stair step, go to step 3. His progression is always elevating an individual, and it's always perpetually taking you towards the greater blessing that he wants to actually manifest in your life. And a lot of you listening right now, you might be saying, well, look, I don't believe like you believe, so I really can't identify what you identify, but there's something on the inside of you right now. You may not believe the way I believe, but there's something right now on the inside of you that's letting you know that where you are, you don't have to stay there. Where you are, you don't have to be in misery right where you are. There is something on the inside of you that's saying there's more out there for you. There are greater things on the inside of you. How would you like to be that positive agent of change in your family? How would you like to be that positive agent of change in your community? How would you like to be that positive agent of change in your very own life? Think about it for a moment. What is it that's going to keep you in your moment? What is it that's going to help you to take what you're listening to right now on this day, on this terrific Tuesday? What is it that's going to allow you to just take it, grab hold of it, and then allow that seed that's on the inside of you to actually get watered so that God can just reap the increase from it? I mean, it's just powerful up in here, and I can keep going on. But family, I tell you, I just want to let you know that this has been such an awesome day, and we're going to keep going forth as we're going to halfway there Wednesday on tomorrow. Look, you're in your moment right now. Your moment is very powerful. And you know what? This moment right now, I feel that it's something just broke in somebody's life. It really just broke in someone's life. But when we get back on tomorrow, we're really going to cultivate this moment. But guess what? Continue to be in your moment. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you on tomorrow.